Hi you guys, this is my first video. Hopefully it works. I picked a topic that I think is really important. I think that most people think about, they want to know how they can do this. And it is something that if you're already a client of mine, I've talked about over and over and over again, and people always want to know more. So I'm hoping that these videos will be discussions. If you comment and ask questions, I'll make follow-up videos to answer those questions. But essentially what I wanted to talk about today is the law of attraction and how to manifest and really get what you want in life. How to create a limitless life. You've probably all heard this story about growing younger. It makes me smile and it makes me laugh because it's a silly story, but it is one of those stories that I realized in the moment. It's about non-attachment. That's the actual key. So my silly story is when I turned 42, I was still in education. I was a dean of students, and I had written on my whiteboard, Lady Limitless, and the number 42. And people were asking me, well, what's the number 42? And that's how old I was. But then they were asking me, why did you put Lady Limitless on the board? I said, well, that's my new personality. I was going to morph into somebody that I believed had endless possibilities and anything, I could create anything. And so the first thing I wanted to create was growing younger. And I kept saying that over and over again to my teachers. I said, watch, I'm going to grow younger. And of course I was at first just joking, not really. I mean, I actually believed it, but I was saying it in a way that was silly and comical. But I had also envisioned, staying young forever, keeping my health up, keeping my skin glowing, all those kind of the aesthetics of being young. And at that time, again, I said I was 42 and I had a lot of 42-year-old friends, and it was fine, but it was just, my life was changing at that point. We'll just say that. So fast forward 6 months, and the whole time I had been saying, I'm going to grow backwards. I'm going to grow backwards. Well, 6 months later was my 43rd birthday, and I was out one of the very first times I had ever gone out in the city since my move to Arizona from New York. I had spent 12, 13 years all in the West Valley, living in 1 square mile, essentially. Schoolwork. And so I was in the city in Phoenix, and I was celebrating my birthday, and I was with my new best friend and my new boyfriend who I just started dating. And I looked around and I started giggling, and I realized, holy shit, I grew backwards. Both of those people were 29, and everyone else in the bar was around their age. And I did not feel out of place. I felt completely comfortable. I'm still with Doug, who is 13 years younger than me. And I laughed at Spirit because I was like, that is not what I meant. But at the same time, I got what I said. And I didn't really have parameters around it. I didn't have expectations. I wasn't limiting myself to what growing backwards meant. And that's really the key. So what I'm going to explain today is what non-attachment actually means. Because the key to law of attraction is simultaneously working with non-attachment. And you can't attach to a timeline. You can't attach to what it's going to look like. You can't attach to how you're going to get there. The only thing the law of attraction really is about bringing in those feelings. Now, a lot of people have asked me, and even Esther Hicks says you can't get there from here. And people have asked me, well, I have all this karma and all this trauma, and I can't feel those feelings. And that's true. You can't get there from here, and you can't feel those feelings until you essentially become present and you don't go backwards into your trauma or your karma, and you don't go forward into your anxiety and your fear. The only way to make the law of attraction work is to stay completely present in the moment and to have no expectations on what it's going to look like. So when I was saying I wanted to grow younger, my thoughts, my, consciousness and the way that I was painting the picture was about my physical body. But my emotions, everything that was under there, was about having fun. It was genuinely just about having fun. That's all I really wanted. And I didn't ever want to stop having fun. I still don't. That's what I want. That's one of the emotions, joy, absolute joy that I want in my life forever, regardless of what this looks like, regardless of how old it gets. So even though I was saying those words, I didn't attach myself to, I have to have a really strict diet and I have to have a really strict workout and I have to have, and in order for me to get there, I have to be disciplined. That already creates a barrier in your mind because now you're setting something up and you're creating almost something that feels impossible for you because you have to be regimented where you were never regimented before. So what I'm saying and what Esther Hicks said and what they say a million different ways in a million different books is you have to first work on your own actual emotions. What are you feeling right now? And if you're going backwards, why are you going backwards? Are you going backwards because something is not resolved? Are you going backwards because you're replaying the old scenario over and over and over again? Are you going backwards simply because you're not healed from those experiences, whatever those experiences are? Are you going backwards because you haven't been honest about yourself and who you are? Are you still creating behaviors based on experiences? So the only reason why we should ever go backwards is to find who we genuinely are before any of our experiences. Who was I? What do I love? What do I want to be? Who was I before any of those experiences happened? What were the things that I loved? And once I've figured that out, well, I don't have to figure it out 100%, but even just 10%. And I start to open that door of remembering my heart and the things that I loved. And honestly, for me, one of the things that I remembered that I loved was tea, which is why I was going to open a tea bar, because I loved having a tea party in my bedroom by myself and just drinking tea. And I also loved dancing. Now, I'm not good at it, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to go to the club with the 29-year-olds because dancing makes me feel good. And I'm probably going to look like that crazy old lady, but I don't care. So I had to go backwards to find just two simple things that made me feel alive and made me feel like me. And once I started expressing those two simple things, more doors opened that felt like me. And when those more doors opened and I started to see like, wow, this feels like the real me. Nothing to do with my experiences or trauma or any cycles of behavior, but simply just, I like tea, so I want to go to that tea shop. Or I like dancing, so I want to go to that music. I don't care what the music is most of the time, but I listen to my body. Now, not painting the picture for the future takes the pressure off of me. Oh my God, I don't have to do anything except be present. I don't have to set up this rigid schedule. Now, of course, because I want to have a business, I have to have some sort of structure. Because I want to have motivation, I have to have some sort of structure. But I'm going to figure out the structure that feels right for me. I'm going to figure out the aesthetic that feels right for me. And I'm not going to rush anything because I'm growing backwards. So there's no time limit, right? Really, there's no time limit. Who says that if I don't accomplish anything that I want to accomplish in 6 months, that means I failed? That's made up. It's not real. So we haven't failed until we give up. That's the only time we've failed. I had a client come to me and she said, I've been ready for a relationship for 6 months now. And I've been putting myself out there and I've been. but she's creating a block. And that block was really hard to find because she has the self-love. She knows what she wants. She doesn't understand. She even knows what kind of energy she wants to bring in with this guy. And really the only block that she has is thinking that there's a time limit and thinking that you have to do something. And the only thing you really have to do is today. And you really have to just be present and happy today. So let me give it a little bit more scientific and not so woo-woo. And when I mean being present, if you're looking backwards, you can't see what's right in front of you. And if you're looking forwards, you can't see what's right in front of you. So unless we're daydreaming because we're writing a story and we're meditating or we're intentionally creating some kind of fantasy, we should be looking forward. We should be taking in what's around us, knowing the room, assessing the people. And that doesn't mean you have to be on a show or, the spotlight at any moment. Being present just simply means being aware of the moment, listening to the conversations that you're having, and listening not to respond and not listening to when's my turn, but listening to what the other people are saying. And that's another key, because there is no greater education than rhetoric and conversation and community and networking. That is going to be how you get to the next step, how you get to the next step, how you get to the next step. Whether it's the next book that's going to open your mind, the next coffee shop that's going to actually bring somebody into your life, or the next time you want to go dancing. If you're not listening to the experience in the moment, there's not going to be a next time. You're still going to be sitting and wondering and fantasizing about the next time, but you'll never be actually creating it. So I'll go back to what I said in the beginning. The law of attachment, manifesting, the secret to the secret is being present and is believing that anything is possible. It's not having attachment to time. It's not having attachment to any blocks or fear. It's not having attachment to anything that it looks like. It's only wanting an emotion. And that emotion has to be built within yourself in a very authentic way. You have to actually believe that your life is full of joy and happiness, that your life is full of tea and dancing. And guess what? It absolutely will be. But the cooler part is while you're just on the journey to create that and you're believing it and you're forgetting about what it's supposed to look like and you're forgetting about I have a timeline and you're forgetting and you're just being in the moment, experiencing life, you will look back and go, holy shit, I grew younger.